It's time for the show. It's time for the show. It's time for the show. This is the law. This kid will a little Brady.
Well, listen, and I want to get into the Paul Heyman stuff in a second. I want to get into that in its entirety and give it some justice, but I feel like I need to, like, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason in the writing somehow for Roman to come back. It's not just going to wander back onto the scene. There also has to be a reason for The Rock to come back. And I think that the bloodline that you're seeing being formed right now, right? There has to be the split there to start that off, because you thought you were going to see it maybe with the Usos fighting against that bloodline. You're not seeing that. What you're kind of seeing is possibly, the bloodline going after Cody Rhodes, going after Kevin Owens, going after Randy Orton. So, I mean, there's an obvious match there and whatnot, right? And then they take it one step further, because we've got another feud going on with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. They're doing their own thing.
I thought you were going to say something else.
No.
Please don't blend those storylines.
But we have that storyline going on with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk.
Yeah.
And then we saw how they crossed over and got the bloodline stuff mixed in with that this past week because of what you were talking about. So what we're saying here now is, to all of you people watching on the Law or listening on your podcast providers, is that Paul Heyman may very well be the greatest pro wrestling actor of all time. And the reason I say that, Brady, is because this past week, what we saw with that promo with him and CM Punk and the Bloodline 2.0 coming out and to being the disruptors, Paul Heyman got you right in the feels, because when he dropped that line, "Take me with you,"
he's so good.
When he dropped that line, you wanted to reach through the TV and save Paul. Let me just say this right.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman.
The greasy fucking Paul Heyman.
The guy who's the advocate for the beast, Brock Lesnar. Right? The guy who is the wise man for the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Without taking one bump, without anything other than selling it with his emotion and his face and his eyes, Paul Heyman has completely turned baby over this last little while.
Oh, yeah.
Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. And it's brilliant.
I'm calling it now. Roman's coming back to save Paul.
Okay. Now let me take this one step further. Let me throw this out at you.
Let's go. Take it a couple steps.
What if Paul Heyman realized that the only way you can't fight a group, but Paul is a very smart man, right? And even if Roman comes back by himself, that's one guy. Even if CM Punk goes out there, that's two guys, right? You need to have a beast. What if Paul Heyman decides to put together his own Dangerous Alliance 2.0?
Throw it back.
And we have CM Punk, who is a Paul Heyman guy. You have Roman Reigns, who is a Paul Heyman guy. And you have Brock Lesnar, who is a Paul Heyman guy.
Ooh, that ain't happening.
What?
I don't know if you heard. Brock apparently sent some fucking, what the fuck is it? The hell's happening back there? I think Brock. How else can I get out of this? Brock's in trouble. Well, I don't know if he's in trouble, but he's associated with trouble.
Okay. I mean, who isn't associated with trouble?
Actually, okay. So with all joking aside, do you think that they could bring Brock Lesnar back and not get heat for it?
Yes.
I actually disagree with you. I don't think we're going to see Brock anytime soon. I think they're going to have to even go the Hogan route. If they are going to bring Brock back, there's like a 5-year grace period here. All right.
Really?
That's what they did with Hogan. A
Yeah,
fucking
I mean,
5-year grace period or something. I don't know. It was like 4 or 5 years. They're
it's
like,
a-
if we
it's
just
a
don't
different
mention it at all.
But I mean, what did he commit a crime?
Who?
Brock Lesnar.
I think he's in. I think there's a crime involved because it had now this allegedly. Vince had said that he was signing Brock to a deal, so he had messaged that young girl and said, "You're part of the deal, so you're gonna have to meet Brock at a hotel."
But that's on Vince trying to traffic. As far as Brock is concerned, there hasn't been anything there. I think that Brock is just kind of
you haven't seen. You haven't heard if there's been. How do you know he didn't know that was part of the deal? Wouldn't
How do
that
you
be
know?
illegal or
There's this whole
association?
thing. There's this
I don't
whole
know. I'm
thing
not a fucking lawyer.
there's this whole thing about being innocent until proven guilty. I don't know if you understand the way that the real world, i.e., United States of America, actually works.
You know, if you want to find out the legal stuff about Vince, there's a couple fucking Goombas that
Against
used to do
Vince.
this show
But
that
that's
fucking
against
do
Vince.
that.
But
What?
that's against Vince. That's not against Brock. That's what I'm saying. Like for Brock absolutely could come back. And listen, if he did and it happened, it would be one of the biggest pops of all time.
Do you think that it would be a huge pop for that? Well, yeah, you're right. Because you're right. I don't even want to say why, but you're right. I'm not denying that. I think it would get a huge pop. I just think that the same people that are fuck. I don't even know how to talk about this without fucking getting heat. Okay, so the same fucking idiots that are like watching AEW religiously and like taking sides and tribal sides on both sides or wherever.
Okay.
These stooges that are just think that they know the business. I think they'd freak out and they'd make such a stink online. Like the Twitter accounts and all this stuff would just be so bombarded.
All right. But let me ask you this. Do you think that Triple H and Brock Lesnar give a fuck about what you say on Twitter when it comes down to putting dollars in their pockets?
That's what I'm saying. If they're selling t-shirts and they're selling merch and there's pay-per-view buys, I don't think that they'd give a shit at all.
The heat generated from that alone. And you're bringing Brock back as a babyface to save Paul Heyman?
In the famous words of Eric Bischoff, Sting fucked himself. No, controversy creates cash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
100%. Be sure to click that subscribe button, click that like button, and tell all of your friends. Share it with everybody. We appreciate you just as much as you appreciate us. So let's make this thing even bigger.
RockSolidFanClub.ca gives you full access to Canada's leader in professional wrestling, featuring legends like Mick Foley, modern megastars such as Cody Deaner, and future sensations like Tyler Turva. RockSolidFanClub.ca offers exclusive series, podcasts, live streams, specials, and full events, all for less than $9 a month. Sign up today at RockSolidFanClub.ca, where real fans get it.